Alrighty guys, I am finally doing it. I am going to be taking some advice from James from Bow Disciples. You should go check him out. We just spent a week and a half hunting together and it was absolutely epic. But if you guys know me or if you are new to the channel, I run roughly between 550 to 580 grains. And before the AX2 from Hoyt this year, I was getting speeds of about 240 to 245 feet per second. The AX2 is giving me 260 feet per second because the upgrades to the HBX Gen 4 cams has allowed guys in shorter draw lengths to get a bit more performance out of their bows. But I'm going to be dropping down almost a full 100 grains. I want to get a brand new arrow build to about 460 to 480 grains. And there's multiple reasons. One, I want my sight tip to get a bit more narrower, and I want my trajectory to come down on those long distance shots. Two, I want a bit more speed to combat string jumping. I've chosen some Black Eagle deep impacts. They're a 4mm arrow. I'm going to go with my usual build of a 4 fletch setup. And obviously the Black Eagle deep impacts come with a really nice collar system. I won't be putting any brass behind them, and I really want to see what these guys can do at long distance. So let's get cracking. My Hoyt AX2 29 is set at 75 pounds and I've got it at 28-inch draw length. So if I look on the Black Eagle chart and the amount of weight that I want to put up front on the arrow and the arrow length that I'm going to cut, roughly 27 inches, I'm going to be using a 300 spine. And then I must let you know, obviously these are 001 straightness. So these are going to be extremely accurate arrows if done right. Obviously we're going to spin test them, fletch them properly. The fletches that I'm going to be using is the brand new Bowhunting Alpha vanes. They're a 2.8 inch in total length and they are about 0.45 inches in height. I really like the shape and I like that there's no sharp edges like a blazer. And they do say that these are some of their quietest vanes and they're ideal for long distance shooting. So exactly what we want, quiet and good for long distance shooting. I also like that the new material that they use on the Bowhunting fletchers are quite a lot stiffer. And like Bowhunting almost always advertises, these are some of the best sticking vanes out there. And I'm not sponsored by them at all. But when I shoot them in a butt, I shoot them into an animal, I shoot them into the ground by accident, whatever I do, these vanes just don't come off. So I really like them and they've proved themselves over the last couple of years with me, and so I kind of just stick with them in terms of the Bowhunting range, but now we're going to be trying that Alpha vane. While Prince is still building our arrows, I thought let's confirm poundage. It's been about 4 weeks since I checked. This is a different scale, so it could give a slightly different readout. And then I've quickly put together a 573 grain arrow, pretty much almost all the same specs as my heavy arrow, except my heavy arrows aren't here, so I had to make a plan. So let's check poundage first quickly. 72 pounds, so 2 pounds off of what I said earlier, but it could be the scale, not so much that the string stretched or anything like that. Okay, 28-inch draw length, 72 pounds, 573 grain arrow. Let's check what kind of speeds we get. .255 feet per second. Really not bad for a 573 grain arrow at 28 inches, 72 pounds. But I'm really excited to see what kind of speeds we're going to get now dropping 100 grains. I think we're going to be slightly impressed or really impressed. I think Prince is just about done. Thanks, my brother. They look good. Thanks, brother. Now the fun part, guys. I'm going to have to obviously just get 5 out of 6 arrows in my quiver, balance the bow out because now we've dropped almost 500 grains on the right hand side of the bow. So I need to balance that out and then we're going to have to just start paper tuning. Let's balance this bad boy. Just want to make sure it's absolutely precise. I don't want to have to torque my hands and wrists or anything on that grip to get that bubble center. That feels amazing. Sweet. So I think before we do a speed test, we have to have a final weigh down. Let's check what kind of weight we are getting now. Remember I said 560 to 580 was my ideal weight. sorry, 460 to 480. And here we have 478 grains on the dot, which is exactly the threshold. I didn't want to go over 480, and really happy with that. But now the moment of truth, what kind of speed difference am I getting from 573 grains to 478? Let's have a look. Get that there, and I find if I shoot through paper, that white backdrop really helps the Garmin pick up your arrow speed, and it's a lot more consistent than just shooting into like a dark butt of some sort. So let's just do a quick recap. 72-pound draw weight, 28-inch draw length, 478 grain arrow. Let's check what speed we get. ...280 feet per second. That's, guys, 100 grains drop in weight. Obviously changed out the fletchers. The fletchers themselves are even lighter and lower profile and shorter. And we've literally gone up by 25 feet per second. And I think 280 is just such a sweet spot in the African bush. When you got an impala at 25 yards, blessed buck. I mean, I saw zebra string jump completely a whole animal away, almost a meter off X when a guy shot at 60 yards. So our animals and our species can move incredibly quickly. And I feel if I just get my arrow weight down, speed up, not too low on the weight, I think I'm going to have better performance and less string jumping, or less effective string jumping from the animals. So looking forward to putting this to the test. But I think the next thing is getting it paper tuned, and then we've got to get this sighted in. Wasn't much to paper tune because obviously I did a lot of tuning on the bow for my other arrows. So a few tweaks on the rest. It's still center shot and everything's perfect. I think it's time to hit the range. Alrighty guys, truth be told, it's like 2 weeks after that part one of this video, and so the wind is absolutely pumping today. Not the best day to be sighting in a bow. So I thought I'd run you guys through what I've been doing in this past 2 weeks and where we are at right now. So I must first let you know that I've changed up my points from 100 grains to 125. After shooting these quite a bit, I just thought I really want to get closer to 500 grains because I will see a difference in penetration and not too much of a drop in speed. So I sighted in my bow last week right up to 100 yards with a 3-inch group. I was super happy with it. I was super proud of it. And we've just had to start from square one today, this morning. And I didn't want to take you guys on that journey because all I ever do is freaking sight in a bow and it gets very boring. I kind of wish I did because now the wind is pumping. So I'm standing at 10 yards and I'm going to just focus on pulling through my shots and getting rid of some trigger punching while I run you guys through what I think are the advantages and disadvantages of a light arrow. Let's take our first shot here. Dead center of where I was aiming at. So first things first, right out the gates, and a very obvious thing that I absolutely love is that I'm getting a ton more speed than I used to. I was shooting a 560 to 580 grain arrow, and obviously moving down to 500 grains, there is a massive difference. What I was always worried about with a light arrow is what the wind is going to do to it over longer distances. You guys know I'm not scared to take an 80 or 90 yard shot at an animal if the conditions are right or if I'm feeling confident. And so I was really worried what that's going to do, but I think going for a 4mm micro diameter arrow has kind of cancelled that worry out. I think if I was going straight from a 5mm to a 5mm, I might have had some issues, but they've almost cancelled each other out, going from a 5mm to a 4mm but a lighter arrow. And in some pumping winds today, I saw almost no arrow drag to the left. Wind was going from right to left at 80 yards. So that is quite impressive out the gates. I haven't shot in such windy conditions yet with light arrows, and today they performed beautifully. Another thing out the gate that I love about these that I know is going to help me a lot in a hunting scenario is that they're going to get to an animal a lot faster than my 580 grain arrows. Let me shoot this quick. Dead center of what I'm aiming at. I must say, this I know it looks a bit ridiculous, but 5 1.5 ounce plates out front, 2 1.5 plates out on the side bar, and a 15-inch front bar and a 10-inch side bar. I think it's actually a 12-inch is really giving me a lot more stability than any kind of other stabilization that I've been playing with at the moment. And I actually built this because I hunt a lot in the Eastern Cape, and it is very, very windy, kind of just like today. And a heavier bow is going to be a lot more forgiving in those kind of winds. But we're not here to talk about stabs. That was last week's video. Let's shoot this quick. Okay, so the wind was blowing that bow everywhere, but I continued with following through, and we're only about a ½ inch to the right of what we were aiming at, and that's just because the bow is moving around. I must say, the only true way to test these is to get them in the field and see how they perform on penetration, if we're going to get any kind of pass-throughs, if we have good kind of broadside shots, see what kind of penetration we get on frontal shots, stuff that we have been taking for the last year with 570 grain arrows. And well, in 3 weeks I'm going on a hunting trip up in Limpopo, and then 2.5 weeks after that I'm going on another 10-day trip in the Eastern Cape again at Eland's River Safaris. And so we're going to have plenty of opportunities to put this to the test and really see if me dropping almost 100 grains, let's say now 80 grains in arrow weight down to 500 grains, if it's going to make a massive difference. Another huge change that I didn't tell you guys is I'm actually a 27.5 inch draw length, always have been. And when Hoyt sent their bows pre-launch for us to take into the bush and test in the African bush, they sent me a 29-inch bow. So I had to learn very quickly how to shoot almost 2 inches longer than my draw length. And after shooting with that bow for about a month, the RX9 Ultra, I moved to this bow. And I kind of just got used to being overextended. Well, I ran into some issues last week sighting in this bow because I found that there was a drastic difference between shooting 20 yards and 80 yards in terms of my peep placement as well as my nose button placement, and I couldn't understand why, and then it clicked. I am, no matter what I'm doing and no matter how good I am at doing it, I am shooting a draw length longer than my actual draw length, and so I've moved this bow down to 27.5, and it really has made a massive difference between anchoring at 20 and anchoring at 80 today. There was almost no difference in terms of peep height, which was quite lovely. And it just reminds me, no matter how comfortable we get doing stuff, there's a reason and there's a reason for the formula of draw length, and it really does work like a bomb. Let's get another shot off here. Really loving this at the moment, except for the wind. The wind sucks. Slap the crap out of that. Let's redeem ourselves. Don't know how I hit that because my pin wasn't even on that because the wind was blowing, but it just shows following through and focusing on what you're aiming at and not where the pin is floating on and off, and you hit your mark. That is dead center of a 1/4 inch ring at 10 yards. So that's like a golf tee. Happy with that. Enough babbling. I have a massive video that I have not seen any other creator make as of recent. It's all got to do with kinetic energy and what arrow is going to be most effective at different distances. And we have found a way to calculate that and work with that. And so really it's going to come down to, are your arrows effective at real shooting distances, 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way out to 80 or 100 yards. I don't think it's going to be next week because it's going to take us a while to film, but it might just be the next video. So stay tuned. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm sorry that we didn't give so much context here. The wind is just, it's not working with us. And for me to go and shoot and break arrows, I've actually lost 2 arrows today. One, a mistake. I forgot to move my sight back to 30 and I shot right over it into the tall grass, never going to see it again. And the other one at 80 yards, I Robin Hooded an arrow, and so therefore it is gone. Appreciate you guys watching. Much love. Stay tuned to the channel. Remember, every Saturday from now on, 3 p.m. South African time, 6 a.m. American time, I will have an upload. Peace.